Hey, you there. Yes, you, the bundle of physics students surrounded in plastic walls my cat would run into every 3 seconds. Buckle up your seatbelts and prepare to have your minds blown, because I'm about to wrap string theory around your head like rubber bands stacked on a watermelon in 2019. Welcome to an angry version of physics class. So what is string theory? String theory, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is the idea of a cord that is usually used to fasten... No, not that kind of string, you sad, empty black hole. This one is a lot bigger and has a billion times more science. String theory is a lot of things, and no matter how fast I speak, I can't cover it all in 5 minutes, so we're just going to talk about the 10 dimensions part. And my guess is that so long as you aren't blind, deaf, and lacking any sort of circadian rhythm, you probably know about the first 3 or 4 of them already. The first dimension. Now the first through 4th dimensions are relatively simple, starting out with the first dimension, the easiest of them all. This dimension simply consists of one line. That's literally it. Take a look at this graph. You see how there's an x and a y here? Yeah, in the first dimension there's none of that. Too complex. There's just an x. You can think of this as a single width, length, or height, but only pick one to stick with for the rest of time because that's literally all this is. I bet you're all wishing we lived in a one-dimensional world now, because then your calculus class might actually be passable at that point. If you're wanting a visual example of the first dimension, it looks kind of like this. Well, this kind of sucks. The second dimension. Super Mario Bros., traditional pen and paper art, thin Oreos, this freeze frame of me. These are all great examples of the second dimension, except for maybe Super Mario Bros. That one's still a little something from the 4th dimension, but don't worry about it. Remember how we threw out the y-axis like 5 seconds ago? Well, go outside and apologize to it and give it a wedding present, because today it's getting married with the x-axis. If you can't understand angry stick figure speech, in English that just means we're adding the y-axis back into the friend group. The second dimension consists of both x and y-axes together, so you can make cool stuff like this here fantastic piece of art. However, it still excludes width, so it's not quite livable yet. Now, it may still make your calculus class easier, but with this bad boy, I'm still failing pre-cal. The third dimension. Alright, so things are starting to make more sense now. The third dimension has x, y, and z axes. I really shouldn't have to give examples of this, but here's a cardboard box. You can slap the axes on it just like this. Bam! Third dimension done. Easy. Get out of here. The 4th dimension. This one is very commonly mistaken with immersion and using random stuff like rain and smell thanks to cinematography, you scientifically incorrect sensory mistaking job that... Oh wait, this video is technically cinematography, isn't it? Anyways, the 4th dimension includes time. Remember how I said that Super Mario Bros. Was a bad example of the 3rd dimension? Yeah, that's because in the game you're not frozen in time like me whenever I have to perform on stage. We fundamentally have to live in a 4D world because space can't exist without time and time can't exist without space, thus we get space-time and a million other physics categories, one of them being my favorites, temporal physics, but... Let's get back to the topic at hand. The 5th dimension. This is where things start to get weird. The rest of the dimensions are theorized to occur on a subatomic level so we can't perceive them yet. Like Ella Alderson said, we are a bunch of dumb stupid fish and don't know what land is because we think it's the edge of the world, like this map I found somewhere in my grandfather's closet. In that metaphor, the 5th dimension through the 10th dimension are land. I probably should have clarified. The 5th dimension brings in the idea of a parallel universe that had the same start as our universe, but maybe some different stuff happened along the way and we could compare possibilities between our world and that one. The 6th dimension. The 6th dimension is basically just the 5th dimension times a billion. It lays out every probable occurrence and possibility in practically infinite universes, all starting with the Big Bang and all falling under our same familiar laws of physics. It's like a scientific choose-your-own-adventure game where each universe represents a different choice you could have made. So if there are any people who like to 100% video games, go find a career in toes. The 7th dimension. So in this one, stuff starts to get really, really weird. This one gives a universe scenario in which there is a different beginning and there are different laws of physics and stuff. Basically just says, hey, you know the Lord of the Rings? Well, it could be real. At least it might be like somebody in a group improv session who wants the scene to go one way, but ends up going a different way entirely, turns the Lord of the Rings into the Lord of the Flies, I don't know. The 8th dimension. The 8th dimension is basically just the 6th dimension too, 7th dimension edition. It is meant for the 7th dimension's eyes only. No look-sees. It lays out all possible past, presents, and futures for those other universes with different laws of physics. The 9th dimension. The 9th dimension is like the first bullet point on your research paper outline that just says essay, and underneath it is the actual outline. It shows all possible universes with every single different set of laws of physics to the point where the Lord of the Rings actually is real in some universe, exactly how it plays out in the books, and a separate universe that shows exactly how it plays out in the movies. This is a dream come true. The 10th dimension. Everything is real, and everything is possible, and everything is laid out on a Brazilian sheet of paper detailing every single thing about every single thing ever, and everything is infinite, and there are no limits to what it can happen at. Okay, this has been the 10 dimensions of string theory. I'm gonna go take a nap.